Welcome back to Llama Mama Kayla's Yarn Tube. I'm Kayla, and I appreciate you coming by and hanging out with me today to watch my sweetheart blanket grow. Let's see, where am I at on here? This is the back side, and this is the front side. So I finished getting that gray put in, and so I'm ready to join another color to go around, but I'm loving how it looks. And even though, you know, the balls that I'm using now aren't going all the way around the blanket, it's still very pleasing to the eye, you know what I'm saying? So I really like it, and it's getting bigger, it really is. And so I think by the end of the month, it's going to be a good size. Somebody did ask me what size is my blanket going to be. I have no idea. Whatever size it is when I stop working on it. I don't have a plan for the size or anything like that. Just whatever. Let me dig out all my balls. I balled these up in the wee hours of the morning while I was uploading yesterday's video. And I put them all in my bag and put them away for while I was going to the doctor, because I did not want Miss Sassy up here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is that right? Different colors. I didn't want Sassy up here on my desk and on the blanket and grabbing yarn and Sissy stealing yarn and all that kind of stuff, you know. But anyway, I am very thankful that you guys are joining in and leaving me comments to answer on the next video and all. That's really fun, and I'm enjoying just reading your questions and such. So let me make sure I got all my colors up there. The fuchsia, the purple, white, variegated, and then the gray. Okay, that's the colors I'm using. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to just jump into the questions, but I'm going to answer a question, and then as I get started, I'm going to tell you about our day of, for Wednesday. I had a doctor's appointment, so, but as I join in this new color, I want to go ahead and say this, because somebody asked me that they said, I see you tying knots in your yarn, but when are you weaving in the ends? I'm not. I'm not, honey. Now, the only ends I weaved in, no, I hadn't weaved in any ends. Even on my granny square, I tied knots. This is the back side here. I didn't weave in any ends, and I'm not going to, probably, except I don't even know if the very last one would have an end to weave in or not, but that's not what I'm doing. Okay, so after gray comes back to that light pale pink. So I know there's lots of ways to tie yarn in where, you know, it's joined and you can't see and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know that. I know I could weave in these ends. I'm just not all about that. I'm not trying to be perfectionist and trying to make my blanket look like it was made in a factory or something. I like the homemade look. That's the look I like, and that's the look I'm going for. But I do know that there's, you know, lots of ways I could join this yarn in. I know about all those little ties and pulling it and all that kind of stuff. And I've done that before, but that's just not my thing for a project like this. So yeah, I'm just going to tie it, and then I'm snipping my yarn down, not all the way to the knot, but close enough. I'm just snipping my yarn there. So there's no ends to weave in. But I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just saying this is my preference because I'm lazy. How's that honesty for you? I'm just lazy and I just don't want to do it any other way. And I like the look of scrappy, homemade. That look is just fine with me. So, but you know, if you really, you know, don't want, your yarn, your project to look homemade. You want it to look more professional. You know, you would want to do something different. And that's fine. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? We all like things different. We all do things different. I'll do me, you do you. And it is all right. Because there's no rules in crocheting. I mean, the only rules there are is you have to pull through to make these stitches. Anything else, you just do what you want to do. Alright, so Big Daddy and I left out Wednesday morning at like 7:30 a.m. to head to Shreveport, which is it takes us 2.5 hours to do that trip. I had a doctor's appointment at 10. Yep, I'm pretty sure it's at 10 with the rheumatologist. And then I had another doctor's appointment at 1:30 with the pain doctor. And so we took off, went to the rheumatologist, and let me just tell you, on the way to Shreveport, there was so much traffic, road work, construction. We hit a couple of really hard potholes that were, we didn't see them on the road before we hit them, but we hit them and it made a difference in the car. I mean, it was like you knew you hit that pothole. It wasn't no question about it. And so we went to my doctor's appointment, and for my doctor's appointment, let me say this real quick. We ended up with a flat tire. After we come out of the doctor's office, we realized we had a flat tire. And so we have not changed a tire since we've had that car. And we did, Big Daddy got out and looked, and there was a spare tire in the back, and it was a full-size spare tire. So that was good. There was no jack, no tire tool, or anything like that. We ended up having to call a service to come and get us, not come and get us, but come and jack up the car and change the tire. And then we had to, the tire that was back there had a nail in it. The one that was in the trunk of the car. It had a nail in it, so, and Big Daddy had an air pump, so he aired it up before the man ever come to put it on. But we had to go buy another tire. And then we went and got that one, got the nail took out of it and got it patched. So it could be a spare tire. But yeah, we ended up doing tire stuff in between appointments and after my last appointment. Anyway, that was not fun. It's things that happen, you know. Things happen like that. It's out of your control. You can't do nothing about it. But anyway, so back to my rheumatology appointment. Just so happened this whole finger was dark purple. And it was throbbing pretty good. I mean, it's still pretty sore and hurting me, and but it's not real dark purple right now. But in her office, it was the darkest purple, like it was almost black. It was way darker than this. And she's seen it, so she knows that, you know, I'm seriously worried about this finger, and that, you know, it's having issues. So she's adjusted some of my meds. And the one I'm not quite so happy about, but I'm going to give it a try. Although we've done this with all 6 fingers that I've lost. She is upping my Viagra. Yes, I take Viagra. My secret's out. I take Viagra. It is a vasodilator. And so it is supposed to help open up those vessels and stuff, and I guess it does. But my hands and my Raynaud's so far has been medication resistant. I mean, we've done all the big guns, all the stuff, nitro paste, all the different medications, and just everything. and I mean Botox. We've done it all, and my hands have been resistant. You know, my Raynaud says. But you know, I'm willing to try again, I guess. So we'll just see. But anyway, so she's upping my Viagra. Okay, the problem with that is the headaches, the dizziness, and the nausea is just non-stop when you're taking high doses of Viagra 3 times a day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to carry on with life. I mean, seriously, that is a mess, okay? You are just like dizzy, sick to your stomach, nauseated, throwing up, and a headache, like horrible, horrible headaches. You know, nitrogen paste gives headaches also. But yeah, a lot of Viagra, high doses of Viagra gives headaches. But anyway, and then she's putting me on another blood pressure medicine that also opens up the vessels and stuff. So we're kind of double dosing it there, which we've done in the past. But hey, you never know. So I gotta get those prescriptions filled, and then she upped my Cell-Celp to 1,000 milligrams. That is a immune suppressant to suppress my immune system. So yeah, I gotta get adjusted to taking some new not new medications. It's all medications I've taken before, but it going up in the dose, getting a higher dose. So yeah. So anyway, and then she's setting up to get my next infusions the end of April and beginning of May is when I'll get those next 2 infusions. So anyway, I'm just pray and hope for the best. But whatever happens, happens. I have no control over it, you know. But yeah, pray and hope for the best. Finger wise. That's what I'm talking about. Just the end of that finger is very, very sore and just hurting. It's deep inside. It's not, you know, the skin on the outside so much. I mean, it is very sensitive and everything, but yeah, whatever's happening feels like it's really deep. And it's not from crocheting. I lost all these other fingers before I ever learned to crochet, so crocheting didn't make me lose my fingers. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to, you know, tell you what the doctor said and her concerns and what we're doing, and, you know, we are doing something. It's just, I don't know. We'll pray that it helps. Okay, so then we had the flat, blah, blah, blah. I called the, when we finally got somebody that was going to come and change the tire, they said that he would be there in about an hour, that he had just went to lunch and he'd be back in an hour. And my appointment was in 1 hour. No, my appointment was already, that was at my appointment time at 1:30. I kept trying to call their office, but they're actually out of the office and not back into the office until 1:30. So I finally got through to them at 1:30, and that's right when we found out he was going to come in 1 hour. So I, you know, told her that he would be there in 1 hour, and she said, we'll just reschedule you for Friday. And I was like, well, I can't come back Friday. I'm here today. I told her, you know, I'm from Monroe, and my husband took off work to bring me today, and that can't happen again on Friday. He can't take off 2 days. So she said, well, the doctor leaves at 3. And then I asked her, I said, would you please let him know that, you know, their office was closed during the ice storm, so we had to miss an appointment then. Not my fault, not their fault. It was the ice storm that we had. everything was closed, roads closed and everything. But, you know, and that I haven't got my, ups like I was supposed to because of that. And, you know, if I can make it by 3, I would still want to come today. Otherwise, it will be 2 weeks before I can come back. And so, she said, well, just call me and let me know. Okay, so he came at 2:30, fixed the tire, and then Big Daddy stood out there trying to talk to him. And I'm just like, come on, let's go. And then Big Daddy was like, well, do y'all sell tires? Because I need to go ahead and get a tire. And the guy was like, yes. And then he's like, you want to just follow me back to the shop? And then Big Daddy was like, do you want to try to make that appointment? And I'm like, yes, this is very important. And so then he still stood out there and talked. And I was like, come on. And so he finally got in the car. And we went to the doctor's appointment, and we got there at like 2:50, and they closed at 3. So they got me right back in there real quick, and he upped my medication by 20%, my dosage. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to take my dose by 12. It's 12:30. He upped my medication by 20% and upped my bolus also. So that, you know, he asked, was I feeling any relief from it yet? And I told him, you know, no. And he said, that's okay. Eventually I will. That, you know, it's just brought up such slow. I'm gonna do this real quick. Sorry, guys. And basically, I did this one night, but I'll just do it again, tell you about it again. So I hold this part over my stomach. I've turned it on. I hold it over my stomach where the pump is. And hold it over my pump. And then it hit the deliver bolus. And it's connecting to the pump. So it's reading everything on the pump and all that kind of stuff. The dosage and all that. And then it says the bolus started and it's giving me my bolus. And I just click OK. And so I'm locked out for 5 hours and 43 minutes. Most of the time it's 4. I hadn't figured that out. Most of the times it's 4 hours, but then there is a longer stretch somewhere in there. And anyway, so 3 boluses left for today, and that'll be fine because I plan to sleep a lot today because I'm wore out from that trip. But anyway, he got me all set up with that, and I go back in 2 weeks to do that again. So it'll be good. It'll all be good. Alright guys, so getting on with the questions that were asked. Somebody asked, how's Big Daddy doing? He is doing okay. He still has a few issues, but you know, it is what it is. But he's doing okay in general. He's doing better than he was. So we're going to take that. Alright, and then somebody said, oh, they was asking about my pain pump, the medications that I get, the morphine that I get through the pain pump, and also my infusions. Can I still take pain medications? I can if I need to. No, Sissy. See her bite at that ball. She wants to grab it and go. She's the little thief. Aren't you, sissy girl? Okay, and then somebody said, Oh, they asked about bears in Louisiana. They heard there was bears in Louisiana and wanted to know if that was true. Yes, there are bears in Louisiana. There always has been. We've had a bear in our front yard before. One morning, actually not too long ago, but about a year ago, I guess, Big Daddy was leaving to go to work one morning, and he thinks it was a bear in our barn. Bears make this clicking sound with their jaws, and he could hear that, and it sounded like it was around our barn. So, he thinks it was a bear out that way, and possibly it was, who knows. We live in the wildlife management area, the WMA, and probably about 20 years ago, they released a bunch of bears out here. And so, yeah, sometimes when you pull up on the road, a bear, possibly, I mean, we've had this to happen before, but a bear can just run across the road in front of you. So, yeah, last night when we were coming home and we turned on the road, there were deer leaping everywhere. It was like it was like a cartoon almost. It was so many deer, and they were just leaping out everywhere. What is it, Miss Sissy? Yeah. Okay, so another one. Somebody asked if I've always been crafty. Yes, I've always enjoyed doing crafts and just things like that. I've always enjoyed that. Any kind of craft. Huh, sissy girl. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked about support groups for illnesses, if I've been involved in any of those. I don't know of anything local, but I guess about after maybe I had lost 1 or 2 fingers, I did try a support group for finger amputees, and let me just tell you, that was the most depressing thing. I had to quickly get off of that because people had lost like the tip. I'm talking like just the tip of a finger, and that's all, and they acted like their life was over. They would never be able to do anything again. And I was just like, my life is not over. I will do all that I can do. I'm not giving up. And I tried to be like a word of encouragement there, but it was very much not accepted or wanted. They wanted to wallow in their pity. And I just couldn't stay in that group. I could not read that stuff because it was just so depressing. So I left. Sassy, don't bite me. Don't bite me. She just loves to be rubbed on. Loves to be petted and rubbed. Don't you, sissy girl? Yeah, now she don't like to be held so much. Like, she don't really want you to pick her up. But she does want the rubbings. Yeah. I know. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, she's in heat, but she's not. She's not in heat. Alright, sissy, come on. I'm going to put you down so I can spread my blanket out. Come on, little girl. Ugh. And Sassy sitting up here like she's waiting on her turn. Okay. Going on down. Somebody asked a interesting question. Here, my yarn's trying to split right there on me. Someone asked, if there was a person, dead or alive, that I would like to talk to. And I would say yes, and her name was Sister Diane. She was a minister that was just in my life, my whole life. And she passed away a few years back. And I really do miss her. See, I don't know how that's going to work. And she is the one that I said that came in, and I took her over and showed her who I was going to marry. And by the way, when I listened back to that, I realized what I said sounded a little, it came out wrong. When I said I had never told anybody this, I didn't mean that about that with Sister Diane, that I showed her who I was going to marry. I told that plenty of times. What it was that I hadn't told before was that I thought his name was Frank. That's the part that I had never told before. I've never told him that I thought his name was Frank at first, before we really started talking or anything. Anyway, I don't know why I thought that. Okay, so somebody said, I mentioned that, I might try a rotary cutter, and someone said that that's not as easy as it possibly looks, that they ended up having to get stitches. That would be me. Can you just imagine me in these hands trying to do that? Yeah, I would probably end up with stitches too. So, I don't know. Thanks for that warning. If I do try to use a rotary cutter, I will be extra careful and possibly have Big Daddy to assist me to see that I could use it. But yeah, that would be me. I'd end up with stitches too, probably. I can see me cutting off a finger. Oh, I lost these due to Reynolds, but I cut this one off myself with a rotary cutter. Oh, hey, I will tell y'all this little funny story about my fingers. So one time, I was getting blood work done. This was several years ago. I had lost 5 fingers. I hadn't lost that pinky. I had lost 5 fingers. And so I was getting some blood work done, and my blood is always thick and sticky, and it just takes a long time for it to flow. They usually end up having to pull it with a syringe. Most of the time, that's what they'll do, unless they just like standing there waiting on it to drizzle out. Anyway, it was taking a long, long time. So finally, the girl said, "What happened to your fingers?" So I said I was kidnapped and they had to cut off 5 fingers before my husband would pay the ransom. Y'all, her eyes like to have bugged out of her head. I mean, the expression on her face and just her eyes bugged right out of her head, and I was trying my best not to laugh. I don't know why I said that. I used to just come up with different ideas, things, and people would say, "Oh, what happened to your hand?" And I'd say, "Well, they don't let me use the blender anymore." And I would just say stuff like that. And so that particular day, I just said, I was kidnapped and they had to cut off 5 fingers before my husband would pay the ransom. And so, anyway, that was funny. And so one time when I was in the nursing home, after that, I spent some time in the nursing home, and I had this male nurse came by, and he asked what happened to my fingers. And so I told him that, and he said, "What? Wait, what?" And I said, "You didn't hear about that on the news?" And he's like, "I don't guess." And so anyway, he was all serious and like into it, and so I started laughing, and he's like, "That didn't happen." I was like, "No." And so then another day or so later, a doctor came to see me, and he was the one that came in with the doctor. So he's standing on one side of my bed, that male nurse, and the doctor's standing over here, and the doctor said, "What happened to your hands?" And I'm laying there in the bed. I'm looking at the doctor, and he said that. I looked at the male nurse, and he and I both just started laughing. He and I both started laughing. I didn't tell the doctor that. I told him it was Raynaud's. I'm silly sometimes, but sometimes, it gets boring just saying, oh, I have Raynaud's, and then people's like, what is Raynaud's? Because, most people haven't heard of it. Thankfully, we are supposed to bring awareness to it, but, I'm thankful that when people haven't heard of it, it means they don't have it and don't suffer from it. So, anyway, somebody asked if my kids ever had, or if we ever had hamsters and birds. We have had just about probably every animal you can think of. We've had it. I'm talking, one year Dakota wanted a horse for his birthday, and we couldn't get him a horse that year, and so we got him a donkey, okay? He was 4 years old, and we got him a donkey for his birthday. Joker. He named him Joker. And he was a joker. But yeah, we've had just about every animal you can possibly think of. But yes, Dakota had birds, all kinds of birds. He had, he still does have some, finches, and probably a parakeet. I think he might have a couple of parakeets. But he's had different kinds of birds. He had one that it would say something, but we don't know what it would say. We couldn't really understand it that well. We all had our own guesses of what it was saying. But it was one that you could train to talk. It was I could have said. It was green. How's that? It was green. I do that with cars too. I don't know types and brands of cars. I don't care to know. That's not going to increase my life, knowing different types of cars. And so somebody will ask me something like, what kind of car was it? And I'm like, it was blue. Anyway. Yes, so Dakota had birds. We've had hamsters, mice, rats, ferrets, turtles, spiders, tarantulas, snakes. You name it, we probably had it. All kinds of birds outside, from turkeys, geese, guineas, chickens, ducks. I'm just all kinds. We've had it all. We really have. But it taught my kids responsibility. They learned about death. Now I'm going up on my next row. See, I joined it here, and I'm just going to chain 3 and go up to my next row. I double crochet 3, chain 2, and double crochet 3. But yeah, I think having animals teaches kids responsibility. It teaches them about death, and just, lots of things that you can't just think of yourself. You have to think of your animals. So yeah, we've always had all kinds of animals. Trust me. Big Daddy never knew what he was going to come home to. He never knew what new animal was going to be in the house when he got here. Somebody asked me why I'm not turning. I've said this, lots of times, but I just prefer not to. I like the look of the way I'm doing it. Some people like to turn it, and some people don't, and I'm one of the ones that don't. There's no right or wrong way. You do it, you do it how you want to do it, and that's the right way for you. I just don't like to do that, so I'm just not going to do it. And somebody said, okay, I mentioned that I want to do a corner to corner blanket. And I'm going to start with a solid color, or, like a cake or something like that, where I have two, and do, half of it and then decrease when I start the next one. But, and then later I would want to do one with a graph. But anyway, somebody said that Bag O'Day has a corner to corner, which I'm not surprised. I fully would expect her to. And that she was easy to follow. And she is easy to follow for me. Like anything I've made of her patterns has always been, she's easy to follow. So I will check out her channel when I get ready to do that and search on there for a corner to corner and try to follow along with that. So thanks for mentioning that she did have one, because, although, I figured she did. Well, really, I hadn't thought about it, okay? I hadn't thought about if she had one or not, because I wasn't ready to do one. But, you know what I'm saying, I'm not surprised that she does have one. Somebody asked this question, okay, and I do not want to talk about politics, because, whew, that could get sticky and ugly quick. So I'm not talking about politics, and she wasn't really asking me to talk about politics. Her daughter homeschools her children, and she's wondering how to go about teaching about politics. I just taught the basics and what was in, books, history. We learned about how politics works, and not so much about picking a politician. You know what I'm saying? Not focusing on this person as a politician. Now, we learned the presidents and, what they do and, stuff like that. But I didn't, trust me, our kids and us, we're not all on the same page. We're not. So, we don't talk about it. You don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about politics. But anyway, so that's just what I did, just teaching about how politics works and stuff like that. Next question. Oh, somebody's asked about my grandparents. Well, this is really weird, but I never knew my father's parents. I never knew them. One time when I was a little girl, I was probably about the second grade, because I'm remembering where we lived and what he drove and the store we went to. So I think I was around second grade age. He and I had went to the grocery store and picked up a couple of things. It wasn't much, because I remember he had one bag. And we were leaving out, and he stopped and talked to this man. Nothing was ever said to me. Nobody spoke to me. The man didn't speak to me. My father didn't say nothing about this man or nothing like that. He talked to the man, and I'm just standing there, And then we leave. And we get in the truck, and I said, who was that man? And he said it was his dad. And I remember thinking, that was your dad? So that meant that was my grandfather. That would have been my grandpa. I was thinking that. As a little kid, I remember sitting in the truck thinking that. But nothing was ever said to me about it. Like, that was just weird. And I never met my father's mother, okay? And so, my mother's mother, now she was married 5 times, and Big Daddy likes to joke and say that last one just wouldn't eat the mushrooms. But anyway, her husbands kept dying, okay? I don't know. Maybe she wasn't a good cook. I have no idea. Back then, people just died. They just died. They didn't know why. So, her husbands kept dying, and so she got married 5 times. And, She lived in a different town from us, but not too far. I mean, it was about an hour travel, I guess, but we saw her often, and I stayed with her and her husband, which I called him by his first name, which was Jesse. I called her grandma and him Jesse, and that's because my mom called him Jesse. That was his name. So anyway, I did not have a close relationship with them until I was about in the first grade. I remember them coming to our house. I remember it was a whole bunch of neighborhood kids out playing, and somebody drove up at our house in a black truck, and my friend said, "Who is that?" And I said, "I don't know." And so we ran to my house to see who it was. You know how kids do. And this lady got out and said she was my grandma. And this was Jessie. And I remember they had Christmas presents for me and my sister. Now, I'd never seen this woman before in my life. I did not know her. I didn't know she was my grandma. I guess I just didn't have grandparents and I didn't know any better. I didn't know I was supposed to. I don't know. But, they went in, and I remember I went in for a little while, and then I ended up back outside on the streets playing, because I didn't know this woman, you know, or her husband or anything. But anyway, sassy. When my parents divorced, I got sent to my grandmother's. And I did not know them. I really didn't. But I had to go live with them for a while. So I had to get to know them. And I did love my grandma and Jessie very, very much. I did. And, they took me and my dog in. My dog Pancake. I had a Chihuahua named Pancake. What are you doing, Miss Prius? But anyway, my grandma was a very nice lady. I loved her. I really did. And Jessie was really nice. We played cards all the time. My grandmother was sick. She had cancer, and she battled cancer like several times. And then she passed away. Like, I only knew my grandmother for 3 years, and then she passed away. And then Jesse, he lived up until after Dakota was born. Dakota was a baby when he passed away. And so he was, you know, in my life until then, until he passed away. But yeah, so I don't know. Only memories I really have of Jesse is playing cards with me all the time. And my grandmother, like I said, she was sickly because she had cancer, but we did go to the grocery store about once a week, and she would buy me the little plastic cowboys and Indians, you know, those little cheap toys. She would always buy me a bag of those. And I played with those out in the cornfields, out in the dirt. And that's why I always had to have a new bag, because I'd lose them outside in the cornfields. But anyway, that's my memories. And then as an adult, I worked at Walmart after while I was going to nursing school. I worked at Walmart. And a lady came in one day and said, "I'm your grandma." And I said, "My grandma's dead." And she said, "No, I'm your father's mother. And I was just like, I don't know you. I don't know. And I was real nervous. I know it made me nervous. I was at work, and it was a whole line of people, and she's standing there trying to talk to me while I'm trying to do my job. And it wasn't the appropriate place to do something like that, right? But I was really nervous because she was sitting there insisting she's my grandma. I didn't know this woman from anybody. I mean, I don't know if she really was or not, because I didn't know her. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that woman was. She finally went on, and I was, able to concentrate and do my job, because I had a whole bunch of people there that I was trying to wait on and stuff. And she's up there talking about she's my grandma, and I'm just like, my grandma's dead. That's all I know. The only grandma I ever had was. So that's my memories of my grandparents. I know that's very non-traditional, but yeah, it's just the way it was. Let's see. Oh, somebody mentioned that I had said that we had a Kia Soul little car, and Big Daddy really likes it, and somebody mentioned that they had recently got one. Isn't it great on gas? Like, that little car is so good on gas, and that's really great for Big Daddy since he works, an hour away from home. So, yeah, I never thought I would like that kind of car, but when we got one, the price was right for us, and we did a little research on them and found out good things and bad things, and anyway, the good outweighed the bad, and so we got it, and it is so good on gas. Like, Big Daddy's truck was a gasaholic. It drank like there wasn't going to be any gas left tomorrow. And it usually wasn't. So, to have something that's not just guzzling the gas was very different for us. Alright, let's see. Bugs. Somebody asked, was I scared of bugs? No, not really. I mean, I grew up in the country pretty much off and on. I've lived here for, like 34 years. I remember I was a tomboy growing up. Me and Angela were tomboys, and we were in the mud. We were out crawfishing and digging in the mud and stuff. So, no, I've never been really scared of bugs. And someone else has mentioned this twice, and I don't know why. They lived in Lake Charles, Louisiana for a short period, I believe. And she said something about the roaches. I don't know about that. I don't have any experience with roaches. Maybe if you lived in an apartment complex, maybe, I don't know. But I don't have experience with that. So I don't know. I really don't know what you're referring to. But she says she could not stand the roaches. I don't know. I'm a little bit clueless on that. Okay, then I mentioned that our car, the radio doesn't work, and it is a Cyrus radio, but from my understanding, you have to pay a monthly fee for that, and I'm not about that. I'm just not going to lock myself into a monthly fee for a radio in the car. So I was saying that we listen to CDs because the radio don't work. And Big Daddy thinks it might be the antenna, but you have to take the inside of the ceiling of the car down to replace that antenna. And I was like, nope, because it would never fit back up there right. It'll be a disaster, and then I'll hate it. So we're not touching it. We can just listen to the CDs. So that's what we did all the way to Shreveport today. or yesterday, we listened to Elvis all the way. Well, we listened to Elvis and Dolly the first while, and then he put in Elvis by itself all the way there and all the way back. Okay, so somebody asked, how do I price my market items? Very painfully. That is a hard thing to do, because you just don't know, and you have to kind of know your area. You have to kind of know what people are going to want, and I don't know that. I don't know the answers to those questions about my area. So it is hard to know how to price markets. I would suggest going to a market and just walk around and kind of scope it out and see how much other people are marking stuff. But just because they market that don't mean they sold it at that. So I would kind of linger around, get a drink, find somewhere to sit and watch and see if people are actually buying that person's items. You know what I'm saying? Because even though they might mark something, hey, they're selling those for $50. Well, they might have it marked 50, but they may not be selling it for 50. So you just have to watch and see and kind of get a feel for what are people interested in and what are people willing to buy. I was quite shocked at my first one. The one Big Daddy and I did this past fall. We actually made pretty well at that. It was just so hard on our bodies. It really was. But anyway, and then the next one, I did go up on my prices just a little because it was a different clientele, a different group of people, and things went well there too. Didn't sell as much, didn't have as much traffic to come through as the first market. So anyway, it's hard to say. You just have to get a feel for things. And some things that I didn't, I was like, I don't care if I hang on to this. I don't have to sell this. If it stays with me, it stays with me. I would mark that a little higher. And one of those items sold, which was my big, huge octopus. It did sell. And now I was like, I should have marked that even higher so I could have kept it. I could make another one. I just have to get that yarn. I mean, not that same yarn, but I'd have to figure out. It used a whole lot of yarn. And I'd have to figure out I had the right amount of whatever I was going to make it be. Color. Okay. Oh, somebody said something about their husband flips channels also. So I'm learning there's a lot of husband flippers out there that flips channels. And then she said something about her and her husband has it really loud too. So does Big Daddy. He's deaf also. He worked with machines, loud, right next to loud machines for 11 years. And so he is deaf. He can't hear. And he does have hearing aids. But he takes them off when he gets home from work because he's done heard too much for the day. And so he takes them off. I think he gets overstimulated. And so I don't get any benefits of him having the hearing aid. He can't hear me. He can't hear the TV. I'll ask him a question and he'll say, I love you too, baby. Because he has no idea what I said. Sassy. Don't. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tie in my next color, which will be this pink. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this one on. Alright, so somebody asked about My favorite breed of dog. Oh my goodness. That's like saying, which one of those kids is your favorite? Right? I don't know. I like, okay, I'd mentioned, somebody had asked me about small dogs versus larger dogs. They both have their pros and cons. And I do like big dogs and I do like little dogs, and I don't know. I like poodles because they don't shed. And I think there's another dog too that doesn't shed, like maybe a Maltese or something. What? Sassy, I still have work to do, okay? I'm still working. I know. We'll get in the bed in just a little bit. Give me all that. Okay. A Maltese, is that how you say it? Oh, Sassy. Hold on. Oh, she hit my movie. Okay. I've had many Chihuahuas over the years. I can remember as a little kid, I had Fancy. She was a black Chihuahua. I had Pancake. She was a brown and white. Let's see, I've had Pedro. He was brown. I forgot to cut my strings. He was brown. We've had we had Jose. We had Django. We still have Django. We've had Taco. I've got Phoebe. I've had Sophia. So I have had a lot of Chihuahuas. Oh, we had Consuela. I had to find her a new home because she hated Big Daddy. She would sit in her kennel, and when he walked by, she would shoot out and bite him on the back of the leg, ankle, and all. She did not like him at all. And he tried with her. But anyway, and then I've had poodles. I had Sugar, and then I had a poodle named Prince. Sugar was very special to me. So I don't know if I guess I would say poodles and Chihuahuas if I was to get a small size dog. The only thing now is I wouldn't want to get a poodle because I wouldn't want that grooming fee every month. That was always a pain, you know. And now, and that's when it was about like, it was probably about $40, $45 to groom a poodle every month. Now it's done went up to outrageous prices for grooming and stuff, you know, which I know it's work. I know that it's their job and it's worth it. I'm just saying I can't afford it. Okay. So, I just wouldn't want that hassle of having to go get a dog groomed every month. So, I probably would not get another poodle for that reason. I'd probably stick with Chihuahuas, my little Mexican dogs. Dakota has a Shih Tzu, and he has to be groomed, and when he's not groomed, that dog is so ugly. He is, and he only has one eye, because remember, he was in an accident and lost an eye. The vet tried to save it, but it just couldn't be saved. And so he has to turn his head all the way so he can see out that one eye. And he is just the ugliest little dog. I'm sorry, Dakota, but you know I think Windsor's ugly. Yeah, his name's Windsor. And he ugly. Especially when he needs grooming. And when he's first groomed, like that day or the next day, he's kind of cute. But what I like to do when Dakota's not home, like he works at a bakery, and then after sometimes he teaches classes. And so sometimes I'll go by his house when he's not home and take a picture of his dog looking out the door and text it to him. I know that's weird. That's creepy, ain't it? And the first time I did that, Dakota texted me back and said, well, if that ain't creepy, I don't know what is. But I've done that. I'll go by and just take a picture of his house and text it to him. Yeah, sometimes we'll just pull up in his driveway and then I'll call him and say, hey, what you doing? And he'll be like, oh, just watching TV, or, you know, and I'll say, well, come get in the car with us and go get some ice cream. And he's like, y'all are so stalkerish. Oh, okay. So anyway, moving on. Oh, somebody said I should make velvet scrunchies for markets. That's a great idea. I've made some years ago, probably about, gosh, Elijah was still in high school when I made those. It's probably been 5 years, 5 or 6 years since I made the velvet scrunchies, but they did sell really good. And actually, I was making some, and Big Daddy took a box of them. One of his coworkers said, hey, bring those up here. And so he took a box of them to work with him, sold every one of them, and came home with, you know, and gave me the money for them. So I do need to make those. So thank you for mentioning that. And maybe I'll remember it between now and then. But that's a great idea. And anybody else interested in doing markets also, velvet scrunchies. But thank you for mentioning that. Oh, so we were talking about internet access. Yeah, we do not have an internet service. There's not a provider that provides to my house. Now, we are in the woods, and we are completely covered with trees. And so that Starlink, is that the name of it? Starlink? Yeah. We don't think that it would work at my house because of the tree coverage. We have huge oak trees all around my house. Like, in the mornings, as it warms up outside, my house stays cold because the sun's not shining on my house because it's covered in trees, right? So, yeah, we have lots of trees. And then my neighbor who has it, he doesn't think I would get coverage from it. For one thing, my trees, and the other thing is he barely gets coverage at his house because he's on the outskirts of it. Of the coverage spot. Now, as they do that more and more and get more of those satellites up there, that might would change. But at the moment, I don't know. But, and then somebody was saying that they have to provide every home. Well, okay, so I did check in on something like that at one time, you know, about us trying to get a provider out here. They're not going to run cables all the way down to the end of this road for this one house. So, it's kind of like one time when we checked in on getting, is it butane? We checked in on getting something like that, and then they said we would have to buy the pipe and have it laid because it would only be for our house. And so I think that's the way it would be for internet, is we would have to buy the cable and have it or something. I don't know. They're just not going to run it down here to my house for this one fat lady. It would have to be 3 fat ladies. I don't know. That's just what I was told, that they don't cover our house. Okay, somebody asked if I wash and block my crochet projects, blankets, granny squares, or whatever. No way. No way. I know people do that, and yay for them. No way. I tried to block one thing one time. It was a loom knitted shawl that I was entering into the fair. And so I was trying to block that thing. And that was the last thing I ever tried to block. I even bought the pins for it and the little blocking mats, the gray blocking mats. I bought all that because I was going to block my projects. Huh. Yeah, that ain't happening. No way. But I've never found that I needed to block a granny square. As I make it, I kind of take as I'm making one, I kind of just, and I'll put my fingers in the corners, you know, and kind of square it up. And that does just fine for me. I've never saw that, you know, oh gosh, I need to block this. No, not me. Somebody asked favorite movie. As I was writing that question down, I kind of thought about it for a moment. Oh my gosh, there's so many. But I'll tell you one movie that I could just watch over and over again, and that is Steel Magnolias. Now, Dolly Parton plays in that, Sally Field, Julia Roberts. Oh, it's so many. It's several more just wonderful ladies that play in that movie. And it was filmed in Louisiana, down on the bayou. And so I don't know, I could just watch that movie over and over, and I have watched it plenty of times. I could probably quote it along with the movie. Now, TV series, they asked about a favorite TV series. I can't tell you how many times I have watched NCIS with Gibbs. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that. Like, I watch it all, and then I start watching it again. Now, I don't just sit and watch the whole thing. I watch it when I go get in the bed. I'll watch that. I'll turn that on and watch some of it till I fall asleep. That's a comfort show to me. I have several that I go back and forth with that. Criminal Minds, but then sometimes it's just too much for me. Monk, Detective Monk. I love me some Monk. Psych. I love Sean and Gus. And Longmire. I've watched that I don't know how many times. It's 6 seasons of that. And I'll just watch it and it stops. And I'll watch some of the other, a different one for a little bit. And then I'll go back to Longmire. It's comforting for me. I love those shows. But those are the ones that I can think of that I kind of rotate back to and watch. Like I might watch Monk for 3 or 4 nights straight when I get in the bed, and then I might watch NCIS for a few nights, and then I'll watch Psych or Longmire or whatever. But I'm always rotating back to those. And when I finish all the seasons of one, it gets started over. Let's see. Big Daddy's favorite color is blue. He loves blue. I can't say that he really has a lot of blue stuff though. And somebody else, I know I saw this comment, but I could not find it again later. Somebody asked what was his hobbies. Like mine was crocheting and my dolls. What did he collect? What was his hobbies? And sometimes when I'm just trying to scroll down and see the questions, that screen is jumping all over the place, and so I might miss a question here and there. But somewhere I read this question, and I tried to go back and find the question to see exactly what it said, and I couldn't find it. But he collects coins. He's a coin collector. And books. I guess. He likes history books and gun books and airplane books, war history books and stuff. So, yeah, but coins is his thing. He loves coins. He'll sit in there and clean coins and organize them, and yeah, he likes that. And here lately, it seems to be he's collecting suspenders. He wears suspenders, and they do look nice on him. But he's gotten in some, like, new pairs lately. So now he's gotten so many pairs that he has trouble picking out what color to wear. And he's always asking me my opinion. And I'm like, when you only had 3 pair, this wasn't an issue. But now that you're, have about 7 pair, this seems to be an issue. You can't make up your mind which ones to wear. But he found he had some solid color ones, like maybe brown, blue, black, something like that. No, he had a gray. He had a brown, gray, and black pair of solid suspenders. Well, he found some on Temu that are have paisleys on them, and just they're really nice, black with gold paisleys, and they look super nice. And he didn't pay very much for them at all. And so he's gotten like some green ones with some kind of design, paisleys or something, I don't know, swirlies. He got a pair of maroon ones, maybe a pair of red ones, navy, just different greens. I don't know, several different colors that have designs on them, and they do look nice. And so now he can't ever decide what color to wear. That silly man. I love him. Well, that is all the questions, and we're running about 110, 12 minutes here. So, well, an hour and 12 minutes. But anyway, guys, I have pretty much answered all the questions that I could find. Like I said, a couple might have missed because I know that screen was jumping really bad on me. And I was just having trouble scrolling and trying to find that. What is it, Sassy? She's ready for bed. She is. Well, it is Thursday, so, no, is it Thursday? Yeah. I hope you all have a good Thursday. Tell me, in the comments what you're working on, what's going on in your life, and also, if you have questions, feel free to drop a question, and we will talk about it later, friends. So I'm going to get going. Remember, it's a beautiful day to crochet. I love you guys. I'm just going to continue going around for just a little bit while this is uploading. I don't know. I'll probably try to finish this color before I record again, just so that I've got that color, under my belt there. But anyway, guys, sorry. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Bye, friends.